Grown Folks Production. In the mix. With the commish, Nate.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Press Pass Live, your weekly OMFL podcast show here for the OMFL, the world's longest online CFM in the world. I got to get this thing memorized. I'm always just like turning it on. Let's rock and roll. I don't know about you, but it's been a hell of a Monday for me. I could use like a nap right now. That would be really good. It sounds like a couple of my buddies over here, they're falling asleep. Trey's got a new chair he's falling asleep in. Poor Big Hurt's battling with a little bit of a cold and allergies. Fellas, are we going to make it through the rest of this Press Pass Live together?
I don't know. We just started. That's the scary part.
I'll make it through. I got some medicine, man, and we'll be good.
Nice. Well, I'm glad Big Hurt was able to join us today. We're jumping right into it. I see you, Maniac. I see you, Koch. Not Koch. I'm sorry. Lost Sniper. I had Koch from the brain. I apologize. That's not a statement that I thought I'd make today. All right. We're jumping right into it with our favorite game from this past couple advances. Big Hurt, you've missed a couple of weeks, so I'm going to put you first on the queue. What's one of your favorite games from this past couple advances?
Tough one. I think there's a couple games that I really liked that stood out, but the one that I am most interested in that I would like to talk about is the Steelers and the Bengals here this week. I just think that the Steelers have, I've been talking about it, I guess, for a while. Penguins is such a staple from a talent standpoint, but I just feel like he's kind of a season away, and he's got a huge win in division to kind of keep himself relevant. And Dodge, who was a 2 seed last year, who won the division, Penguins pulls out a big win, 29-23, to beat the Bengals, and that was a Week 10 game. So just kind of looking at the stats, I was kind of surprised, but not surprised that the Steelers had over 400 yards of offense. And when I looked at it, I figured it would be more on the ground, and it was actually through the air. Russell had 310 yards passing. Najee Harris kind of struggled to get the running going. Aaron Jones did have some decent yards statistically on an average, but only had 9 carries. But yeah, like I said, I figured with his two-headed, backfield there, they would come, at least 100 yards or so from one of those backs. But this game, Russ Wilson tore it up. He did have 2 picks, but he was able to intercept Joe Burrow 3 times. So that was, just a big game. Like I said, in division, keeps these Penguins relevant in the AFC, especially in that division, with the way things are shaping up right now.
I did not plan on talking about this, but there is a great example from this game of a FPR break, but 2 guys went and had a conversation about it. But it points out a couple of different things that I will quickly touch on. There was a play in this game where Wilson had been evidently sacked a lot in the first half. I think there was 9 total sacks in this entire game. Late in the first half, time expiring, the rush gets to Wilson. He escapes beyond 10 yards drop back, which is an FPR break. Then he rolls backwards and then parallel runs, which the backwards running is also an FPR break, to escape the pocket and pick up a big time first down. That ended up leading to a field goal. If he would have got the sack, time would have expired. There wouldn't have been 3 points. So I would say a couple of things. These 2 guys had a conversation, kind of came to terms on let's not submit this. I do believe a lot of things can be handled without being submitted and have a conversation. But if they need to escalate to that place, then you escalate them to that place and we have a conversation. Equally, in tight games, one little FPR break can mean a world of difference. I remember in particular playing Panther Nation 2 Maddens ago, I think by this point, maybe it was last Madden, I don't remember. It was early on in his time. It was an early season game. I end up getting the ball, completing a pass I didn't think I would complete, getting it down to the 2 or 3 yard line. I just hit no huddle, and there was no time on the clock after the rundown to even change the play. I just had to run whatever play it gave me. It ended up being a shotgun run. I scored a touchdown. Time expired. I won the game, and I won it on an FPR break. I ended up popping myself, not getting any awards that season, breaking FPR. But it just goes to show you that we have to be very conscious about rules at all time. And I've had this was totally not the plan. I apologize. But the last thing I'll say is I've had conversations about guys who are like, I just want to play. I don't want to think about 18,000 rules. Awesome. There's a bunch of really great leagues out there that you should go play in. Because here, a large majority of owners consider fun games to be strategic games that are played by rules. Also, an extra side point is that person's like, well, when I was losing, no one complained. Sorry, y'all. That's how it works. When you win here, the spotlight is bright. It is hot. There are some owners here who are never going to submit FPR. They don't want to go through the hassle. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want the backlash of other people yapping at them, so they just don't submit. I can't do anything about it. And usually when you are winning, people are going to submit on you. So anyway, total side conversation, combining a bunch of conversations that have happened recently. But I thought that was a good point about an FPR break. But 2 guys just had a conversation, got on the same page about it, moved on. But equally a good point that even two guys who've been here a very long time. Penguins has been here for extremely long time, as has Little Koch now. We just got to be mindful of those types of rules in tight games that lead to points that could end up being the difference in a game. All right, now my commissioner rant is over. The hat is off. We're moving on. Trey, give me your favorite game from these past couple of advances, buddy.
Well, I was going to mention the Steelers and Bengals because I thought that was a really good game, but I'll take it to another member inside the division with the Cleveland Browns and the the LA Chargers. Still, I had Chicago Chargers in my head.
Now, I've said some goofy things. I have not said the Chicago Chargers yet.
Right? Didn't make sense to me. But I like this game a lot because Denver dominated statistically, yet still only won by 7. It shows a great fight coming from Pepper and his team to compete, even though he wasn't getting necessarily the statistics to compete in this game.
A lot of turnovers in this game too, which just makes for a weird game. It's amazing that, man, you turn the ball over a handful of times and yeah, anything can happen. Even extremely good owners here can end up falling to teams that they probably shouldn't have fallen to just because of turnovers, and that's going to lead to it. There was a really good game between two teams that we didn't really talk about. There was an FPR break in this one too, but that we're not going to even, I just don't even have the brain width to it. But 45-40 victory for the Seattle Seahawks over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Offensive points galore. 14-7. 3-14, 14-6, 14-13. Nobody wanted to play defense. 665 yards for the Jaguars, 659 yards for the Seattle Seahawks. Only 2 turnovers in this game, which I thought was a really surprising number. 83% red zone percentage, only 66% red zone percentage. And it just goes to show you where the Jags shine whenever they're winning and playing winning football, and that's when they're playing really great defense. Time of possession, 23 minutes to the Seattle Seahawks, even though they were only 66% in the red zone. So big play offense from both of these teams, kind of going back and forth, but two teams we don't get to talk about a whole ton of, and I thought that was a really, really good game. All right, we're going off to the OMFL news, our first one of 3 segments. Appreciate you, Maniac and Tony Bono, for getting these over to me. I have no clue what to expect here. I think he said that there's some interesting stuff. So let's get over here to Tony Bono, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what we're looking for here in the next couple advances. This should be fun. All right, here we go.
What's up, OMFL fans? It's the time for Tony Bono and the OMFL news right here on Press Pass Live. Let's go!
And welcome to the OMFL news right here on Press Pass Live. Thank you, Super Mario, for the introduction. That was not expected, but we got something to expect because we had upsets in week 9, and that's what we're going to focus on, week 9 of the OMFL. And we're not going to go over stats or anything, just kind of look at what may have happened. But we're starting off with the Colts falling to the New Orleans Saints 22-26. The Saints would defeat the Colts, giving them their first loss and ending their undefeated season try. Michael Thomas was the big player here for the Colts with 11 receptions, 137 yards, and a touchdown. Ritter would have 3 touchdowns, but had those 3 costly interceptions that played a big part in the Saints defeating those Colts. And Montague had 2 of those interceptions for the Saints, so good job there. Mr. Nate getting that big win in week number 9. All right, moving on to the next one. We're going to talk about the Raiders and Jay Bowles, or Bowles, or how you say his name. But those Raiders came out on top versus the Commanders and Bird. They would win this game 30-27. This was kind of a barn burner. Not a lot going on offensively besides the Raiders having a great ground attack against the Commanders, which is kind of unusual because the Commanders have such a good front 7. But anyway, the running back White had 4 rushes, 98 yards, and a touchdown. That obviously was a long touchdown run, I'm assuming. Tua Tagovailoa would have 3 touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions. And Scary Terry would rule the airways with 6 receptions, 173 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But again, those 2 costly interceptions probably cost Tua and the Commanders that game. So big win for the Raiders there. And moving on to the last but not least. Yeah, there we go. The Packers and Mr. Priest must have found the holy water that he lost in season 104, but he defeats the undefeated coming into this game Bears and Big Hurt 23-20. Rodgers would have a solid game, 236 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Both teams would be held in check on rushing. Not a lot going on in the rushing department. The big story here would be Fields throwing 3 interceptions. And Atwell had a big game for the receivers for those Bears with 6 receptions, 157 yards, and a touchdown. But those 3 picks were very costly for the Bears, and that ended their undefeated season in 105. But I'm sure that's not going to make a big dent going into the playoffs because the Bears are rolling. And, well, that's it for this segment. We'll go take it back to Nate and Press Pass Live, so stay tuned.
There you have it. Thank you, Tony Bono, for a little OMFL news. I'm not going to lie, I was totally lost for a second there, Tony Bono. I had no clue who was introducing you, and then I realized it was Mario, which, it just didn't click there in the moment. All right, what are we watching for? This was left open-ended because there's a variety of different ways. We could talk stats. We could talk award winners. We could talk playoff push. We could talk draft. We could talk trade. There's a billion things that we could talk. I'm going to leave it open-ended. I'm going to let these guys tell us where to go. Trey, I'm coming to you first. What are you watching for in the next couple of advances, buddy?
The race for the wild cards. It's amazing that I was looking at it. There's 7 teams in the AFC and 6 teams in the NFC, all within 1 game of each other in the wildcard race. We're getting to the nitty-gritty. The fact that we're having that many teams competing for wildcard spots, I'm intrigued to see how it goes and to see if I can, get myself over right and get myself in that wildcard spot.
Just looking at the AFC real quick, Titans, Chiefs, Steelers, Jets, Jags, Broncos, Bengals, Chargers, Browns, Dolphins, Bills, Colts, all are either leading their divisions or right there in the running. If you look over here in the NFC, it's not quite as many, but there's still a lot here. Packers at 4-5, Rams, Lions, Falcons, Saints, Seahawks, Bucks, Commanders, 49ers, Bears, and Chicago. It's that fun time of the season where there's a lot of teams that still are in the hunt. One big game, one way or the other, and in the next couple advances, we're going to find out a lot about which teams are going to step into those positions and which teams are not going to step into those positions. I don't know why I'm having a stroke on the word name positions, but we did. What's up, Kevin? Good to see you, buddy. All right, turning it over to Big Hurt. What are you looking for in these next couple of advances?
I'm going to key in on 2 specific division races. And I'm picking one from each side, and I'm going to pick the AFC North for the AFC side. The reason I say this is I just, talked about that in-division game with the Bengals, but I feel like this is kind of go time for Denver. It seems to be like he has kind of these slow starts, and then right around week 8-10, he hits all gas and goes straight into the playoffs and finds himself in the playoffs. And so I think now is the division leader at 6-3. But like I said, that big win with Penguins has him right in the thick of things. And so coming up, Penguins does have the Bills, the Browns, the Bengals, the next 3. And so I think those 3 games are huge for Penguins. And if he can find a way to go 2-3-0 in those games, then I can possibly even win the division. But like Terry said, he could easily be a wildcard team. Because then after those 3 big, he has the Patriots, the Ravens, Packers, Rams, and Bears. So it's kind of a mixture of games that I feel like are cool for him. But those 3 games coming up, week 11, 12, and 13, which is what we're kind of talking about, the upcoming advances, the Bills, Browns, and Bengals really will set Penguins either, in the division lead or wild card, or even looking on the outside looking in. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. Also, with the upcoming games, Denver has a couple big games with Massimo. Massimo caught fire at the end of last season, and then obviously the Steelers. But then Priest, who has kind of caught fire the last couple of weeks as well. And then the Bengals. So he's got 4 big games coming up that I feel like Denver has to at least probably go 3-1 in. And then the Bengals, to wrap that division up, is got a little bit easier schedule because he's got the Ravens, Patriots, but then does see the Steelers, Browns, and Packers. So a couple weeks. So he could, throw himself back in the lead next couple weeks if those other 2 teams struggle. The NFC side I'm looking at is your division, Nate. I think you just got 2 wins versus the Colts and then the Lions. And I was looking at your schedule when I was covering things on Down and Distance, and I really thought you had a really tough schedule to close out the season. But you got 2 big wins, and I think that NFC South is really up for grabs right now between the Bucks and the Falcons. And being that you have played Bucks already once, the Falcons you've already played twice, and you have the Panthers one more time. So you've already played 4 of your 6 in-division games, but you do have to play the Cowboys, the Jets, and the 49ers and Bills. So I think if you keep playing some good football, it'll be interesting to see where you kind of end up on those sides of things.
It's terrible. I just felt my colon pucker up.
Nate just died inside.
Say that again.
Hey, you know what?
Well, say that schedule again.
That I like. Well, you just play the Colts, Lions, and then you have the Patriots, the Panthers, which I feel like are 2 winnable games. But then you hit the Cowboys, the Jets, the Bucks, Cardinals, Niners, and Bills.
Oh. After going through Murder's Row just now.
Your last 6 games, I feel like, not to throw any shade on the Cardinals, because I think Deep in the Gap is a really solid player, but he's, got a really tough hand to deal with this season. That's really the only game where I feel like is, in favor. Some of these games are coin flips. I mean, I think you can, for the Kobe this season, I would say you're probably in favor, but like the Cowboys, the Bucks, even Bill, those are. So, but you just won 2 big games. You guys into this back end of your schedule. So, like I said, if you keep winning, my motto is always best. You got to beat the best. So, I mean, you're gonna get yourself ready for the playoffs if you can get through this schedule.
I will earn it if I make the playoffs some way, somehow this year. No one will be able to take that from me. I, too, was going to talk about the NFC South, but I'm going to go a different direction since you went that direction. And there was something that has caught my attention, as I'm sure it has caught many of your attention. We were talking about this in board chat early on in the season when one of these players was just absolutely going bananas, and that's Myles Garrett, who I think had 13 or 14 sacks in the first 5 games or something stupid crazy. Now, he is definitely cooled off, but I was just looking the other night. Jalen Phillips has 22 sacks. Nick Bosa has 20 sacks. Myles Garrett is up to 17.5. Aaron Donald from the inside, which is nuts. I know he moves him around a little bit, but 16.5. Burns has 15.5. Chase Young with 15. We could go on and on. Paul Hutchins out of Clemson, he's got 14.5. Meredith's 14. Anderson. We could go on and on and on here. But what I'm going to watch for is, do these crazy numbers continue? And does somebody somehow, some way break some of those crazy records that the OMFL has from just a couple of Maddens ago when we had that stupid pass rush? I think the record is somewhere in 40s or 50s. Maybe it's even higher than that. I just remember it was a crazy, stupid high number right now. And I feel like these numbers are approaching there. The thing about this Madden is it feels like it comes in waves. You'll have 2 or 3 games where you just guys go nuts, like I had against you in the playoffs, where one dude gets 6 sacks in one game, and then you'll go 4 and 5 games where they don't really get that much, or they only get 1 in that string of games. So I think because they kind of come in lumps and clumps, we'll have to see if one of these guys beats it. But I am definitely watching to see what happens with the pressure as we wrap up Madden 23 here pretty soon. And does one of these guys make a run at one of those OMFL records? That's going to bring us to the next Tony Bono segment. So let's get off to Tony Bono for segment number 2. When we come back, we're talking draft, man. I can't believe we're already in week number 10. It's time to start thinking about the draft. We're going to get each of us to give us our top 3 possible prospects or guys that we're looking for in the upcoming draft. Off to Tony Bono. We'll be right back.
What's up? We're back with the OMFL news right here on Press Pass Live. Let's go into power rankings. That's right. We're going to do an updated power rankings in season 105. We're actually getting close to moving on into week 11, so it's a perfect time to do our power rankings so far in season 105. So let's get to it. At number 10, we got the Miami Dolphins and Massimo. At number 10, he's the defending AFC champion, having a pretty good follow-up season, but a little bit of a hiccup here and there. At number 9, we have the Seahawks and Mr. Meat Boy, I believe is who's running that team over there. And number 8, we've got the Bears. No, not the Bears. The Bucks. I'm sorry. The Bucks at number 8. Well, that would be a shocker. The Bears at number 8. But number 8 is the Bucks and Kevin. He's got the best first name in the world. At number 7, we got Mr. Nate and the Saints. Coming back into the thick of things here in season 105 for the playoffs. At number 6, we got the Commanders and Mr. Bird. He is putting up a solid season at 8-2. At number 5, we have Mr. Bill and the Bills. He has put together a solid season, 8-2, and he's got the Vikings number 1 pick. We keep bringing that one up, so let's not talk about that anymore. At number 4, we have the 49ers and the all-hated evil guy of the league. I don't know, he's not hated, but he's definitely not the most popular guy around. D-Money, and he's at number 4. At number 3, we have the Colts and Cincyberg. Had the big loss to Nate and the Saints in week 9 we just talked about. And at number 2, we got the Dallas Cowboys and Mr. Dakota Nightmare. And he's been putting on a good show this season, 8-1 right now, and vying for that top spot. But right now we have Big Hurt and the Chicago Bears at your number 1 spot for season 105, week 10/week 11 power rankings. So that's it for the power rankings. All right, back to Nate and Press Pass Live.
Thank you, Tony Bono, for the OMFL news. I appreciate you as always. I didn't want to talk about it. I had no plans, at least I should say, talking about my team. But I would say, since you guys have all kind of brought it up in different aspects, how great is this fall going to be to watch me absolutely just burn this thing to the ground in the last 8 weeks or 7 weeks, whatever we have here. It's going to be magnificent. I'm going to put on a light show that no one has ever seen before, because this schedule is absolutely brutal. All right, I want to talk about the OMFL draft. It's coming. It's just right around the corner. Before we know it, we're going to be there. And I want to talk about some possible prospects. We'll bounce this around, okay? We'll start with like 1 from each of us, then we'll go to 2. You get the picture. You'll get where we're going. Okay, number 1 prospect that you just have your eyes on, somebody that you think would be a really fun draft pick. Starting with you, Trey. Where are we going?
I am going to the University of Ohio State and left tackle TJ Booth.
What do you like about Booth?
given the amount of speed rushing power that has developed inside the OMFL, having a agile left tackle could come out as a big way of stopping those speed rushers from dominating you so easily.
6'4", 312 too, so he's got plenty of speed to be out there, hopefully protecting that blind side for most of your quarterbacks. Unless you're Trey, then it's not the blind side, it's the back side. Big Hurt, I told you we were going to be putting you on the spot here. Give me one of your draft picks. Did we lose Big Hurt? Hurt?
He was muted.
Checking on her? Looking at her?
He's here, but muted.
Well, while we wait for Big Hurt, I got to go with the sexy positions. Quarterback Gaston Walther. What a great name out of Utah. 6'4", 221 pounds. This is the prototypical strong arm, big-time quarterback. I would not be shocked if he ends up having a little bit of speed to kind of help him move around. He's going to be a top quarterback that's picked in this next draft and probably will be one of those top imports that we see go with us over to Madden 24. It sounds like we got our guy Big Hurt. Big Hurt, give me one of your top draft picks.
I'm going to go with the edge rushers, just being that we were talking about the passing game and how much it's changed things and that tone in the in season 105. I'm going to stick with the power rusher on the left side, Sheldon Fields, Michigan State. The reason I'm looking at him is he's 6'3", 262, but the reason I really like what I'm seeing is he's got B finesse moves, A power moves, so he can really kind of attack both styles of rushing, but he's also got A pursuit, and he's a top 5 projected pick. I just think he's going to be one of those game-changing guys, whoever gets him. Hopefully it's not Buffalo, because I don't think he needs anybody else. But I just think that guy is going to be kind of one of those Bosa, Myles Garrett, just edge setting guys that can change a game.
Is Shelton Fields, is he a guy that you think can put his hand in the ground, play a defensive end position? Is he a 3-4 guy? Can you stand him up and make him cover some of those zones?
So I think he is probably, in my eyes, maybe a bit more of an edge rusher and a fourth. But just because he is around 262, so maybe just on the touch of the light side. But I mean, I think he is, depending on his strength and how things kind of turn out. His strength does rate as good to great, so it'll kind of depend on how that pans out. But also, if he's going to play the 3-4, which is ideal with that kind of size, maybe like Rashawn Gary for like Green Bay, or like a Von Miller type of guy. He may not have as much athletic ability, but I think he is going to be a 4. But he might be a liability in coverage. So it'll just depend on how that pans out, because his coverage is sitting at A to C rating for man, and his zone is a D. So, I mean, that, like I said, that could be a little bit of a liability in the passing game, which is why I think maybe a 4-3 fit might be a little bit more ideal. So just depending on what type of linebacker you have behind him.
All right, Trey, coming back to you. Give me your second pick.
Now, it's the second pick, but it also makes me question what the heck Ohio State was doing, since they have 2 left tackles in the top 10 projected. I'm going with Zarian Hearns. He's a power offensive lineman, so maybe might be better fitted moving inside, because it seems more power comes from the defensive tackles, but also has the ability to play, maybe left or right tackle. Could be an interesting pickup.
And he's 321, so he's got a little bit of size that you can bump him inside. It's a bit of a pet peeve, and it's one of the reasons we started to move towards our own kind of Madden created drafts that we edit and kind of play around with a little bit, because I hate seeing things like that. 2 left tackles from the same school in the top 10. Like, come on, what are we doing here? I'm coming back to you, Big Hurt, since we had to skip over you last time and came back. So going to you for number 2.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with another game changer. Looking for a Madden import for Madden 24. I think Gaston Walder, the quarterback from Utah, 6'4", 221. Bernie Costanzo also, but I do think Walder is going to be a bit more of an elite pick. Whoever gets him could be someone who could be game changing for a team that needs a quarterback going into that next cycle. Someone like the Colts, who don't really know what their quarterback room looks like going forward. But the interesting thing is when our draft takes place, it's probably going to be right around the same time or just after the real life draft. So a lot of these are going to have ability to kind of see what their teams do in the life draft and then kind of shape this draft to kind of, make that import. And like I said, maybe a team like the Falcons, who just got their quarterback this last draft, he takes that quarterback import. So now a team that is looking for a quarterback next, this guy might be an option for them. But I just think this guy's going to be and you have that season 106 to kind of groom him and decide if that is somebody you want to take into the next Madden cycle.
I'm with you on Costanzo as well. I think to me, he's the guy. Like that throwing under pressure. He's got some things he's got to work on. Walther may be like more boom or bust, but I really like Costanzo. Trey.
Hold on, Hurt. You expect us to get through like 12 weeks of football in a week and a half? The draft's next week. But yeah, no, I agree. Waller's definitely I think he's the more ready, but I think Costanzo definitely has the higher ceiling.
I want to talk about the big boys. I think that's one of the things we've seen here in the OMFL this Madden is investing in those big defensive linemen can bring you a very long way. And look at this behemoth of a monster, 6'8", 351-pound Glenn Calloway out of Texas. He's projected round 1 or 2. There's zero way that he gets out of the first round here in the OMFL. Someone's going to take him. He is not a finished product. He, at least currently, is a bit of a boomer bust. We'll have to see how he finishes out his collegiate career. But I love the finesse move. I love the power move. We got to see where that block shed ends up falling. Got to see where the tackle ends up falling. But you cannot replace that size. He is a massive, massive human being who will probably end up being extremely strong and has that great finesse move, which we know is going to be really, really important in the OMFL. Glenn Calloway, I'm telling you, that's a name you're going to have to keep an eye on because we've seen teams like the Rams invest and get a lot of payoff by investing in those defensive tackles. All right, coming right back to you, Trey. Give me number 3 for your team.
My number 3 pick is my front runner for Defensive Rookie of the Year if paired in the right spot. Delonte Greggs. I think it's Greggs. Greggs. We'll go with Greggs. Speed rusher out of Miami. A finesse move just scares me because finesse move seems to be the OP-ness in the pass rush this year. And we've seen speed rushers just obliterate people. So the fact that there's a guy with a finesse move already, run, just run. Yeah, that's the option.
Do you worry about his size, though? I mean, 251 here in the OMFL, guys are going to just run right at you.
Yeah, but then you just got, like I said, you pair him in the right spot, it's going to work perfectly. But I want to double check the size of a certain current pass rusher that's currently in the league that's dominating it. Let's see, Miami, what is the size difference? So we're going at a guy that's 6'5", 260, and he leads the league in sacks.
Yeah.
6'2", 251. Is it really a difference of 3 inches and 9 pounds?
Do you think he should stand up in a 3-4, or can he play on like the left outside defensive line in a 4-3?
I'm going to say he's better off being in a 4-3 system where he can put his hand in the dirt and make the QB run for his life.
I agree. I think Those pass rushers can be a bit of a problem. Go.
I was gonna say, I definitely agree. You can't take that kind of pass finesse moves off the line. He needs to be rushed to play.
For my third guy, I'm going to go to the skills sexy positions. Everyone does it. Someone is going to draft one of these top guys. What I tend to get frustrated about Madden is usually the super fast guys are like 5'9", 5'8", 5'7", and it's like I want to see some of these big boys be able to run. But I like Brandon DeMarco, 6'1", 204 out of Clemson. He's got really good hands, in hands. He's got really good release. We got to see what he can run in the 40 at the end of his collegiate career. But I like that he's got some size. He's got some weight to him. He can get out there on the outside and block for you on first and second down. He can still get off of the line, get behind the defense. We got to kind of get him to man up a little bit and get that route running under control. We got to be able to catch in traffic, especially in the OMFL where every window is going to be a tight contested window. But I really like Brandon DeMarco for my third pick. Coming back to you, Big Hurt. Wrap us up.
My last pick and my third pick is going to be, I think, someone who can probably step in right away and be a game changer. I'm going to stay on the defensive side of things, and I'm going to go with KC Wheeler. He is out of no college, but he is 6'1", 238. He's a run-stopping middle linebacker. I do like the size because I think he's going to be pretty athletic. But 238 pounds is still serviceable in the middle. And I just think with the A play rec, A man coverage, A zone coverage, A hit power, those four things are in the middle of your defense is going to be elite. And like I said, I think the hit power and the play rec is going to be big. But not only that, the play rec with the coverage skills, that's something like a D-money type of player that would have these middle linebackers just sit in the middle of the field and kind of take the between the hashes or even between the numbers away. So I think whoever does get this player is going to be, he might be a little raw to start out, but if you build him up a little bit, I think his coverage skills and everything is going to be like right off the rip is ready to go.
It's really going to depend on his speed, right? When you're undersized like that, even though you have all these other great tangibles, if you're going to stay in the middle, you better have some really, really good speed. So I'm going to be really interested to see what this guy's speed and overall ranking is going to be. He's going to go early because guys cannot contain themselves whenever it comes to speed linebackers here in the OMFL. All right, that's going to bring us to the end of the segment and to the last Tony Bono before we open up the mailbag, which up to a few minutes ago had absolutely no questions. I will check again. Oh, we got a couple questions there from Mr. Maniac. I'll do a quick little refresh and make sure we don't have any more. When we come back, we'll open up the mailbag and then one final thought from each of these guys. Take it away, Tony Bono.
What is up? We are back with the OMFL news right here with the good baloney Bono. And yes, that's right. I see you, Nate, cutting those eyes over here at me. Anyway, let's talk about some rookies, shall we? Let's give us some rookie spotlight going on. Your passing yards leader for the rookie department is Justice Walker. He's got 2,732. We won't give a deep dive into his stats or else we'll be here for the next 10 minutes. Theodore Ginn Jr. is your leader in rushing department for the Minnesota Vikings. Theodore Ginn Jr. And then Tom Bradley is running away with the yardage from the Buffalo Bills. He was a big-time receiver pickup in the draft for the Bills and Mr. Bill. In your tackle department, we have Devontae Warner of Houston with 31 tackles. Sacks, we have Kyle Franklin of New Orleans with 6 sacks for a rookie. That's not bad. And then your interception leader, we've actually got 4, tied for 4. We got Walden of New Orleans. We got Warner for Houston. We got Kemp for Minnesota. And we got Fox for Denver, all with 2 interceptions. So that is your rookie spotlight. So let's just wrap it up with some random thoughts. Season 105 is going really good. All the content coming out, we really appreciate everyone putting out the effort, but we've got some slackers. So those of you, you know who you are. You don't have to call you out, So pick it up, man. Don't be slacking, because season 105 is kind of going down the tube already, and season 106 will be here. So let's get after, and let's have some fun while we can, because sometime it's coming, and it's coming soon. So that's it for today. Back to Nate and Press Pass Live. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Thank you, Mr. Tony Bono. Appreciate it, as we always do. I appreciate you, Maniac, for doing all of this and having some fun with it. Guys, just don't take yourself that seriously. I love that Maniac cannot take himself seriously. Get out there. He was singing. He was serenading us last night during our Call of Duty matches. Big Hurt, you absolutely missed out on Mr. Maniac's serenation. I don't even know if that's really a word or not, but it is a word for today. All right, I want to open up the OMFL mailbag. Let's get over here and look at Maniac's couple of questions. I will answer the last one, but it doesn't count, Maniac. I'm sorry. You got to come up with something better than that. His first one, though, who is your dark horse picks to make OMFL number 105? I think that's a really great question. There's a lot of good teams out there. So we're going to say this. Dark horse is not guys that are constantly in the championship game, whether that's the AFC or NFC, or the actual championship game of the OMFL. So we got to remove names like Penguins, a multi-champion. We got to remove, I guess we could keep Penguins since he did take over a team. So I'll leave Penguins. He's probably the one weird one there. Who would I remove? Okay, we're removing dark horses like D-Wayne. That's not a dark horse. We're going to remove D-Money. That's not a dark horse. We're removing Kobe. He's been there with the Jets already. That's not a dark horse. Any other ones that we suggest are not on the table?
Denbrew?
Okay, well, that's fair. We'll remove Denbrew, not a dark horse. You good with that list, Trey? Big Hurt?
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right, let's run with it. Give us your dark horses for the OMFL Bowl number 105. I'm going with you, Trey.
Hey, you go first.
Yeah, I have this dark horse selection. I'm going with the double Bs. I'm going with Bill and Bird.
Nice. Tell me why Bird.
The fact that he's in such a competitive division, took the team over immediately, and is 8-2. Yeah, that scares me, because how do you go into a team that you didn't build and just take it over like that? I played the team. It scared me. I'm scared for everybody else.
Very impressive. I also think he got handed. Like, he's a very good player. I've already talked about my love and appreciation for Bird, but he did take over a really good team from Penguins. Big Hurt, I'm coming to you. Who are your dark horses for OMFL Bowl 105?
I do like Trey's picks. But
Yeah, they're good ones.
About Bill has been to the championship game like 3 times, and I just feel like he gets there, and then it's like a player possession away. And then as far as Bird, that loss against Jay Ballas kind of throws me for a loop. Like, I was really bought in, and then I'm not 100% sure on that yet. The guy that I'm going to probably stick with, and I'm going to throw this out there. I think it's one of the big dark horses is whoever wins the South in the NFC. Because not only are you capable with your defense, Nate, but if you get your offense rolling and you have the last couple of weeks, like, you've got every bit to make a run. But I also think Kevin with the Buccaneers, like, he started off so in his defense, and he can put up points if he gets that quarterback. I just think whoever really Bronco or with the Falcons, I think he's capable of making the playoffs, but I don't think he is ready just yet. I think his team might be ready, but he's still a little new to the OMFL. Still needs to find his way a little bit from himself, within himself kind of standpoint. So I would have to say my dark horse is going to be whoever wins the NFC South would be either you or Kevin. And then in the AFC, I mean, I would love to pick Cincy just because he's playing with Desmond Ridder, which blows my mind what kind of success he has. But we all know that Cincy's capable of putting up crazy offensive numbers. He's done it for cycles. And, I mean, even last year, he had Derek Carr and Michael Thomas and Jonathan Taylor were putting up numbers. So I'm impressed, but I'm not going to say that he's the dark horse. I'm going to go with the dark horse being Jay Glaze and the Broncos. I don't know that he can win the division or win the right now how he's playing, but I think if he catches fire kind of like Massimo did, if he can find a way to get his defense under wraps offensively, he's there. And I think the division, he's going to set up and he might get a favorable matchup in the first round of the playoffs. And all you have to do is get there and then kind of let things play out. Like Massimo last year, he got himself in as the 7th seed and then found a way to kind of fight through a couple of games and put himself in the OMFL Bowl. I think Jay Glaze could easily be an interesting pick here. I think the NFC West with him and Pepper is wide open. Pepper, the only thing with me is offensively, he's just not putting out Pepper-like offensive numbers, in my opinion. But he's finding a way to win games. He is on a 2-game losing streak, but he just lost a couple games like Denver, which I'm not going to hang my hat on saying that a loss at all. But I do think that the Broncos could easily, like I said, if he figures out that defense, that's my dark horse.
I want to break all the rules here because my head says pick Colts Bears. I think those are quote unquote dark horses, as in a lot of people don't pick those two teams maybe to go all the way, but they're both great owners. I think, Big Hurt, have you won a championship here yet? I lose him already? If he hasn't, he's been close. I feel icky picking a 7.
Yeah, I did win one.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 Maddens ago. I think I won with the Niners.
Yeah. I just feel icky picking a 7-1 team and an 8-1 team as a dark horse for season 105. Like, it just feels icky. It's like these teams have lost a combined 2 games this entire season. How can they be a dark horse? Same thing for the Commanders, which I do think that's a really, really good pick. I also wanted to talk about the Buccaneers and Falcons, but you've already talked about them. I think they definitely have a chance. I'm going to go Seahawks at 6-3. I think they could very much be the Miami Dolphins of last season, where they're just kind of there, and then bam, it starts clicking, and they just kind of go on a bit of a run. He's got a great offense. He's got a really good defense, and man, I had a fun battle with him early this season, sitting here at 6-3. You can't count out the Lions. I would sort of consider, Trey, you a dark horse because you're 5-4, but also feel icky because you're the past champion. So no one's going to be shocked if you go on the run. And then finally, I'm taking Pepper and the Chargers, sitting at 5-4. I'd also want to say Little Koch and the Bengals. So this is me breaking all the rules, but I'm going to go Pepper and the Chargers, 5-4. He's got to get the defense figured out. I know he's lost 2 in a row, but that offense and what Pepper can do when he's plugged in and he's playing really good football and sticking to the plan, he plays really, really good football, can go on a deep, deep run. And so those are our dark horses.
Let's hope that offense is holds off for one more week. I got him this week.
And then he says, Nate, this doesn't count. Maniac, I'm not counting this one. Why do you have 410 coaching points? That's because when we did the restart, even though some of you didn't miss this message, I had one owner I want to give you a bit of a hard time, owner who did this, but I'm not going to because I love you. But this owner's on top of everything. He is constantly looking at everything. He's constantly making sure everybody is staying on top of things. And I love that. Like, I love that passion. I need help watching things. I can't pick up on everything. And he sends me a message and he's like, why do some of these guys have creative coaches and why do some don't? And I was like, I told you guys that after the restart, since you lost all your coach XP, you could keep whatever coach you got. And he's like, what? And I literally copied the message from him that I sent to him, pasted it, and he's like, oh, yeah, I missed it. So some of you missed that you could keep whatever coach it gave you because you lost your XP. And yes, I sent that message like 3 times or several times, right? Especially right when I was like, hey, your invites are out. Don't forget about this. And so I kept my coach that it gave me, and he's basically maxed out on everything. And so I have no use of the coach points anymore. So I'm just like, well, what am I going to do with them? I'll wait till the off season gets here when I need to do resigns or whatever. So that answers your question. Guys, we have come to the end of Press Pass Live number 293, which is absolutely crazy that we have 293 of these. Let's wrap it up with one final thought. Week number 10 in season 105 is almost completed. I think it's going to end here. I think the last game either started or is about to start or just ended or something like that. So we're about to be in week number 11. Give me one final thought, Big Hurt.
My final thought here, I'm going to go. The Colts just played the Titans, and it was actually a close one-score game. The Colts did pull out the win. But I'm going to actually go with kind of the wild card race. I want to see what team can be this year's more than 8 weeks or so, 9 weeks, whatever it is left this season. A lot of things can happen in 8-9 weeks. If you're sitting 2 games out, that doesn't mean you're out of and make this, and I've said this a million times, like, this league is the best league it is. Make it what you want. Put in the content, put in the work, put in the extra little bit. I've no shame to say I used to play in like 3-4 leagues. My schedule does not allow for that. This is my one and only league, but I do enjoy the content, and I was struggling, but the content kept me engaged, kept me plugged in, and I ended up sneaking into the playoffs. And I faced Nate's defense, who and thinking, oh, Davenport, yeah, that guy.
Davenport, yeah.
Backs against me, gave me a nightmare. But all I'm saying is, you kind of get what you want out of it and what you put into it. And so you got 8 weeks left. Roughly, put in those 8 weeks, go out, get some wins, make an upset, make things fun for the rest of the league. Give me and Cincy and Maniac and Tony Bono and Nate and Trey and everybody that, talks on Down and Distance and the Press Pass Lives stuff to talk about, because that's what we enjoy doing. So give us something to talk about as a big upset or, big surprise, or, like I said, maybe somebody comes out of the woodwork, steals a playoff spot. That's just kind of my take, and I wish everybody the best of luck. That's kind of my wrap.
Trey, one final thought.
One final thought. Props to everybody that's still attached and trying to keep this game going. I know we've had a heck of a Madden cycle, and the fact that we still have, after all that's gone on, people attached in, that's awesome. Just keep it up. Don't fall off. I know with the weather getting on the better side of things where people can go and enjoy stuff, still try and, come out to Press Pass Live. I think we've nailed it down that we're pretty much Mondays, on the work ride home. Come talk with us. If you get a chance, go down distance. Chat with the crew there. Keep interacting. It's just a simple stuff that makes this league run better than I'd say any other league, because we do these things that you don't see from other leagues, because it's other leagues, you just have, they'll play their game, that's it. You'll have somebody, you'll talk to them, you're done. We have our own, we almost have like 2 different like sports take shows on our league. That's unheard of. And give us, and like Hurt said, give us the content to talk about. Do something that's mind-boggling. Like, for example, we had 3 teams going into, I think, week 8 that hadn't won a game yet. 2 of them won. That's something to talk about. We didn't get a chance to talk about it this week because we had other plans, but still. Stuff like that. It's kind of cool.
Yep, I agree. My final thought is just going to be about FPR, which it tends to always have to be, but just kind of find that balance between, okay, like this was a big enough infraction, like something has to be done, like this person either doesn't get it and needs help getting it, and so there's got to be a repercussion for the actions, or you know what, this was an FPR violation, but I'm just going to have a conversation and not like make this person lose all their incentives because they got sent to FPR court. So just try to find that balance, be kind to one another. Let's all not take this so seriously. And at the same time, because I'm not saying that that's wrong necessarily. I get the passion and competitiveness and all of that stuff is super important to all of us. I would say like, you can't just play here. Like if that's what you want, if you just want to fire up Madden and just do whatever and play however and just let it roll, that's just not what this league is. And so there is an expectation of gameplay. I've made it as easy as I can. If you're still missing it on close bunch, close formations, if you're still missing it on 8 in the box, if you're still missing it on the zone calls and third down zone, like you're missing it because you're choosing to miss it. Like I've said it, I've made videos on it. I just don't know what else to do. So the rest is really up to you. Let's finish strong, man. The Press Pass Live and all of these other shows and the content, I see the articles being posted. Like, let's finish strong. I love what people are doing. I appreciate you. I appreciate Trey and Big Hurt for making time for me on a Monday and being here. And I appreciate all you guys in chat. You guys make it a ton of fun, even with my streams, which I know are not entertaining always and not competitive games. Like, it sucks when I'm playing and I see people in there, but nobody's talking to me in chat. And like, what I'm trying to say is like, it's so much fun when you guys are in chat, when you're hanging out with me and you're just like, we're chit chatting and you're talking to me during the game and brings me energy. It helps me stay plugged in, sometimes too plugged in because too worried about chat instead of trying to focus on my gameplay. But I appreciate you guys. All right, guys, that's it. We're at the end of our show. Thank you, Tony Bono. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Big Hurt. Thank all of you in the chat. We'll see you on the next week's Press Pass Live Mondays, 3:30 usually, depending on what the work schedule allows me to do. We'll see you next time. You matter. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll see you.
Smash that like and subscribe.